On the show today, we have a very special guest. I know we say this in most episodes, but you've probably heard his voice if you're Malaysian on the radio, social media, YouTube, and podcasts. He's almost like a trailblazer in the creative industry. And today, we are going to be talking about finding your passion that also makes you the ka-ching. I'm Kessyl.
And I'm SueLyn. You're listening to the Recess Podcast. Hit it. Hi Jin, welcome to the show. So happy to have you here today.
Hi, I like the word recess. It's something that I've never had for the past, I would say, 20 years. I just gave away my age.
Oh my gosh. I love how true that is. Like you are a hustler. Your name is very well known. You're at this point, you're like a household name. You started being famous for YouTube videos, or for those who listen to Malaysian radio when radio was a thing, the gotcha calls.
It's still a thing, right?
Oh man, I hated the gotcha calls. I'll be honest.
Oh my gosh, no. I actually called in the gotcha calls once and I pranked one of my friends.
Oh really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh okay.
It was so fun.
It's I think like when we obviously whatever we put on mainstream media and stuff like that has obviously it's catered towards the best product ever for people to listen to, gotcha calls especially. Mm-hmm. But I think like what people fail to realize, or obviously people do not realize, we don't expect them to know, is gotcha calls have a success rate of like 10%.
Oh,
so for every gotcha call that you hear and you laugh at, we probably failed like 10 times or 20 times
really?
in the background. So in my career in doing the morning show, I think I've done about like 4,000 to 5,000 calls.
No.
Yeah. So imagine 4,000 to 5,000 calls and only
and
getting
400
like,
came out.
Hey, no, wait a minute. Is it 4,000 to 5,000 calls? No, more than that. 4 to 5. We have done 3,000 different calls that have been aired.
Okay.
So
right.
imagine that was a successful one. So can you imagine the ones that failed?
So 30,000, no? Like if you're doing the math right?
Yeah, a lot. Yeah.
Or maybe Jin got his math wrong.
So what happens to all the failed ones? Like what happens to all the failed ones then?
Oh, it's more of like every time we call someone, I was like, hello, we put on a voice and the person be like, hey, I know your voice. And then we're like, okay, bye, thanks, bye, thanks, And sometimes we do gotcha calls and it's really funny, like super funny. And all of a sudden, once everything is done and they realize it's a gotcha call, what we do is, this is a bit of insider information. We always get their voice, their audio consent that they allow us to basically have it aired on national radio and stuff like that. And all they need to do is just say no.
Yeah, correct.
and you wasted like your entire like probably 40 minutes trying to try to get a good piece of content, and then they say no, and that sucks sometimes, because every gotcha call on radio is 3 minutes. I think for the formula of radio is 3 minutes, but every time when we call someone, it will take about 40 minutes because because you need to really get them in.
Yeah, you need to vamp it up slowly.
Yeah, you need to make them believe who you are. If you're calling, as a character, you need to basically make them believe you, and then throw in some real life scenarios or relatable scenarios that's relatable to them to like really really trust you, so you can really like really prank them. So yeah, that's a little bit of an insider thing about gotcha calls.
That was my first and only gotcha call, but like we really enjoyed it, and the best part was that a lot of our friends, because that was still the time of radio, right? So a lot of our friends heard it and they all called my friend. It was like, hey, you were on gotcha, weren't you? And I'm like,
oh, nice. This wasn't with me, right? Okay, I don't think it's with me.
Possibly.
Was it with me?
I will not say. I will not say.
Oh, okay.
But how did all this start? How did you get into YouTube and radio in the first place?
Okay. Radio was pretty much accidental. I studied marketing and PR. Came back. Wanted to work for like big companies like Nestle. The big multinational companies, because that's what all Asian parents want you to do, right? They be like, oh, you must work for these what P and C, that C, A, B, C, D, whatever. Then I think like I got a job in Astro as a marketing exec. My role was to actually write all the scripts that you hear on radio across all 7 major stations. So it is Malay, Chinese, Tamil, and English. So what I did was what I used to do last time was listen to the brief from the sales team, from the client. Then I will write a promotional campaign around their product or their campaign or their budget. And then we execute it on radio. And then we do the post-campaign report. And then we just report it to the clients. How many people listened to your campaign? This campaign is good. Did it do good? Yes. Even if it didn't do good, we say yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I think I wanted to do radio part-time because I was under the assumption that it made a lot of money. But instead of doing radio, I did voiceover commercials, which was kind of funny because I was asked to go into a studio to sneeze and I was paid $300. And I was like, whoa, I could do that. He's like, achoo! You know, it's like, oh, your sneeze is quite real. Yeah. Then, can you please sign this piece of paper? And then be like, oh, how much? $300 for me to sneeze? You know? So I did a lot of voiceover commercials for fun because it was easy money. I mean, I don't want to downplay voice actors because voice acting is indeed a skill. And there are a lot of talented people out there, like the person that goes like the person that voices Yusuf Tayo.
Yeah, I know you're gonna say that. I knew it.
I knew it.
It's coming.
Makes a lot of money. You know what I mean? So I know some voice actors drive really, really nice cars and make a living just on their voices. And also, like, you know, the golden iconic voice, Patrick Teo, also had a golden voice. So I did that for a while. And I think something happened somewhere. I won't go too detail into it, but somebody kind of left radio and I think they needed to fill a spot. And because they knew how I already sounded on radio, they gave me an opportunity, or they said that, hey, do you want to try radio? And I'm like, I don't mind. But it was more of like, hey, just say yes or no. Because if you say no, I'll look for someone else. I'm like, hey, yes, you know? So that's literally how I got on radio. I needed to fill an empty spot. And usually I think like I used to train people. We would train people for like 2-3 months before they actually have a solo show on air. They trained me for 2 weeks and they put me on the spot like immediately doing the 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. slot, which at the point of time did not have, like, it is the post rush hour show, which is 10 to 1, less listenership. So that's literally how I got into radio. Nothing fancy. No. I wasn't chosen to be on radio just because I had, like, you know, skills, a very nice voice or whatever. Not. It's just how it is. No, there's no fancy story around it.
So this all started back in 2011, 2012. That was when you started coming onto the scenes with YouTube and media. But at that time, media as an industry was like pretty much unheard of. Like today, when we think about a new campaign or whatever, one of the categories to consider, the things that you have to deal with, is your influence and your media presence. And that's all a given. But 10 years ago, this wasn't something that people thought of at all. So when you started going into it, did you see the potential in media and be like, okay, you know, this kind of influence, social media is going to be growing and it's going to become this big thing? Or was it really just, I really, really enjoy it, I'm just going to do it, whether I make money or not, let's see how it goes kind of thing?
Actually, that's a good question, because so I think nobody realizes that I've been on radio for 7 years prior to doing YouTube. So I got a taste of mainstream media. I was working in mainstream media, and I think like during my time in mainstream media, and you know, doing the back end and also being the front end on radio shows and stuff like that, I was able to, you know, discover a lot of things. And I was a huge fan of YouTube. Like back when I was studying in uni, when I went to Australia and the internet connection was like super fast, I was like, wow, no need to pause and buffer. You know what I mean? I got acquainted to a lot of like you know, people like Wong Fu, people like Kev Jumba, Ryan Higa, and I think it was the trend on YouTube that was growing big in the States at the point in time. And for me, it was like, the only person in Malaysia that was actually doing doing YouTube content was Namwi, actually, at the point in time. It was only him. The only person I was trying to find, like, Malaysian YouTube content creators, was him. But he wasn't doing YouTube because, you know, YouTube was lucrative. He was just, you know, we all know Namewee, you know, it's really tough to get his content out there. So like, okay, I'll just put it on YouTube because nobody else is going to put my content out there. So that's Namewee. But yes, I did see like a potential, like after befriending a few friends in the YouTube industry in the States, I kind of realized that, Malaysia hasn't really kind of exploded with regards to YouTube yet. And I saw an opportunity there, but not knowing that I would actually, do it. But when I started getting into it, it started with me working with radio first. So everywhere I went, I carried a camera to interview the celebrities that I meet, the singers that I meet, the actors that I meet. And apart from listening to it on radio, I would just edit the videos and put it on, a YouTube channel that I created. It's not called Jinnyboy TV, by the way. It's probably my email, which is like something _ 69, whatever.
With some numbers.
Some numbers. And so it's cool, because it's cool. And then I think radio saw that opportunity because I did a lot of vlogs at that time with a lot of celebrities. And one of them had to be Justin Bieber. And what Justin Bieber did was he took that video and he tweeted it, and all of a sudden, like, whoa, it just like exploded. My inbox was just like, crashing because, there were a lot of believers. Mm-hmm. And I think radio saw that potential. It's like, hey, we need video to kind of represent our product too. So I think that's where they kind of took over. And they took whatever I did and they formed a video team, which is great, to be honest. And then it kind of left me like, oh, what do I do now? And that's when, so that means like if anything video related, it had to be regulated by the company. They would assign a team. There had to be assignments being assigned out and stuff like that. So what I did was I kind of just started my own channel and I said, okay, cool. If I don't have access to celebrities anymore and stuff like that, I would kind of just like, do short films, went out, took out my savings and bought a really expensive camera. And my knowledge of film is horrible because the reason why I spent so much money on that camera is because it can make the subject sharp and the background blur. That's my explanation to why I want that camera.
The bouquet. We have an iPhone right now.
Yeah, I didn't even realize that the thing is called bokeh. You know what I mean? So like professional photographers will look at me and say, "This idiot, why is he spending so much money on something that he doesn't understand?" And I remember it was a Canon 5D Mark II. And because it was the most talked about camera at that point in time that could shoot videos, right? So even Namui shot Nasi Lemak 1, the first movie, on a Canon 5D Mark I. So that's why I wanted the camera. It's like, oh man, it's a dream to have that. So I bought that camera, wrote a script of my experience on how I bought the camera and uploaded it just for fun. It was more of like, you know what? This is my pet project. I've watched enough Wong Fu videos to understand how to shoot a frame and make it look okay. I've watched enough tutorial videos to learn how to edit. I've watched enough YouTube videos to learn how to color and do sound. So it was supposedly a one-off project because, my main income still came from radio, and I uploaded the first video and it just exploded. Took a life of its own, and then we did more videos, and then it started getting a lot more traction, and then you would think that I already knew what I was doing, but half the time I didn't know. I was just basically just making films based on pure instinct, or if I saw something on 9gag that kind of inspired my next video, I'm like, oh cool, let's make a video about that. We just went on, and I think the rest was just history.
I think it's just the fact that Malaysian YouTubers are so humble. Like we spoke to the main thing, they're like half of the time we don't know what we're doing, but yet you guys are here doing like hundreds of short films and gathering all these views and letting us reflect on life. And truly, I grew up kind of in that time and era where I watched like Wong Fu Productions video, your video, and like some Singaporean YouTubers. When and how did Aspect Ratio Studios come in the picture? Because I think that was this like you're creating short skits and films and comedy videos on YouTube. And then you eventually decided to establish and make it into a production house / social media agency. Like how did this come in the picture, and how you know what, this is a time to turn it into a production house?
Yeah, I think like when I left radio to do YouTube full time, it's then like it's some sort of like a wake up call. It's like hey, now you don't have payroll. You need to kind of like
make money.
You need to make money. So I think like we grew the YouTube channel. I grew the YouTube channel together with Ruben, and then I think somewhere along the line we started getting requests to get like hey, can you guys do TVC commercials? And I think at that point in time, I said no, because like, we want to do narratives and we want to do short stories and stuff like that. And commercials are just 30 seconds straight up, like product based. But I think after a while, we realized that if we kept on turning down all these commercial opportunities, then we're losing money.
A lot of money.
I mean? A lot of money. And
a trip to New York.
yeah. So they came to us and they said that they liked our style. So okay, if we did commercials, but our style, would they like it? And somehow the brands that we worked with really liked what we did. So I think like it took me a while to really establish Aspect Ratio Studios. I think like we were still doing the whole thing under Jinnyboy TV, and I saw an opportunity to start a social media agency, and my wife runs that. Only because like when we started making films and we had like talents be on the film, sometimes the clients would come to, hey, that girl who is in this video or that guy was in this video, can they do a social media campaign for me? And I'm like, oh yeah, sure. And then we would just like pass their numbers to the client, and then the client called themselves, and then the clients would come back to us and say, yeah, okay, I want those two, but can you give me like 5 more? And I'm like, then we would go back and say, we don't do that, and then after a while you'll sit down and like, okay, why did I say that? Because like again, there's opportunity being lost over there. So I decided to start a social media agency, and we basically execute campaigns, we come up with creatives, and I saw an opportunity to basically produce videos for influencers, creators who do not have that expertise in creating high quality videos for campaigns. So what we'll do is we'll do something for example, Samsung, right? We'll go there and they will give us the brief, and then we'll make like a whole thematic campaign, and every video is basically streamlined in terms of quality, and everybody would just post it up on their platform. So we do the conceptualization. We will write the script according to what fits the influencer or the creator or the celebrity, and at least it's them. So that became some sort of like a business model. And the only reason why I started Aspect Ratio Studios is because I wanted to build a brand that was more sustainable without my face or my name. Because I can't do this. I can't do this forever.
Right. Yes.
Yeah. So Aspect Ratio Studios is new, and that was the goal to just. I'm not gonna lie, my team are more knowledgeable with regards to like technical stuff on film than I am. I'm just the person that basically said something that made sense, and maybe it works, maybe it doesn't work, but they do most of the technical groundwork and they made it happen. So for me, it's like more of like creating something that's more self-sustainable, apart from just relying on the name. And if the name goes down, then everything just goes down. So yeah.
So it's about the evolution, you're evolving from one point and then you're going on to something.
Yeah. Because like, I mean, I've been in the entertainment industry for almost like 16 years, and I've seen a lot of people come and go, local celebrities and international celebrities. Nothing lasts forever. I mean, some do. The really hardworking ones who really evolve really do. Like, for example, like Psy, Gangnam Style is a one-hit wonder. Where is he now?
Yeah.
Probably made enough money. So nothing lasts forever until you really step in and evolutionize, whatever you want in order to make it sustain. So yeah.
So speaking of evolution, like you've said, you've been in this industry for like 10, 16 years. What's the most significant evolution you've seen in your whole production process? So from the conceptualization of the idea to the final product, pick something that has changed or evolved the most throughout this process.
I think like the way we consume content. I remember the first time when Instagram announced that they were going to have like IGTV vertical, and everybody was like, being like filmmakers is like, what the heck? Who watches films on a 9:16 aspect ratio? That's rubbish. This is not going to last. And here we are scrolling on Insta stories, and not giving a care about how it's being shot, whether it's got bokeh or not in the background, whether the color is not.
The Canon can throw away already.
Yeah, exactly. It's funny enough, I actually have like one of the lenses that my wife bought me because I couldn't afford to buy lenses, right? So she shelled out $800. It's a 50mm lens. And it was because I only could afford that lens. I didn't afford it. She bought it for me. I used that one lens to shoot every single angle of my films, the close-up shots, the wide shots, the over-the-shoulder shots and everything. Yeah, until I could afford another lens. So what has changed and what has really evolutionized is the way we consume content. And even yourselves, like at one point in time, you guys used to be, oh, can't wait for the next movie, can't wait to go to the cinema and watch the next movie. And then Facebook came, like, oh, can't wait to check out what my friends are doing. And then YouTube became so popular, and you like started watching films on YouTube. Then Instagram started having pictures, like, oh, now there's a new platform to consume content. And then when they introduced video on Instagram, it's like, oh, there's a new way. It's always constantly evolving. So I feel like that's the biggest evolution in my industry, and hence why we named ourselves Aspect Ratio Studios, because we create content in many multiple different aspect ratios. And a lot of people consume a lot of content in different aspect ratios these days. And it doesn't mean that a different aspect ratio gives you a different set of quality of content. I think content is king at the end of the day. And yeah, that's basically how everything has changed today. It's crazy.
Talking about content, let's talk a bit about Asian Parents of the Future. It's interesting what you guys did there. It was 2 years ago, but felt like I just watched it yesterday. Seriously.
Oh, thank you.
I really like what you did there with the twist. Our parents, because they love us so much, allow us to do what we want or what they think is best for us.
Yes.
Just as the story has been told. My question is, how do we find a passion that also helps us pay rent and possibly, I don't know, buy us a house and get married and have kids by the age of 30?
Okay. Like a lot of people, like the narrative out there is like, if you're passionate about something, your passion will reward you in the long term. Although I would say I would kind of agree with that, but it comes with a lot of patience. Like I love making videos since I was in high school, in uni, and it was never for the goal of making money. It was for the goal of like, oh, I made something cool to kind of humor myself, or maybe just send it to a friend and say, hey, do you think this is cool? And when they say it's cool, you'll be like, okay, yeah, it satisfies you. But I think like when nobody realizes that their passion can be monetized until they're actually doing it, like, not without, like, they will be very unaware. And all of a sudden, if they started getting paid for their passion, they're just, okay, I just get paid. But in the long run, when it becomes a bigger business, oh, wow, my passion has become my, my main income. And it's crazy. Like it's when you least expect it. I feel that don't keep saying that, oh, I'm going to turn my passion into my business. I feel like this is, I think, like a piece of advice that a celebrity has always told me. I met this celebrity when I was younger, and he gave me this piece of advice. Maybe because my mom told him to tell me this, and that's so that how parents will go to an influential person. Hey, can you tell my child? Can you tell my child this so that my child will listen to you? His name is Lee Hom, by the way. So he said that, hey, you got to finish your studies first. And then if you really like music, because I like music back then, once you're done with your studies, then you can really pursue whatever you want. So I just feel that for teenagers who just graduated or stuff like that, they can work a 9-to-5 job while they kind of do something else in their off time that they're passionate about. But because you will know when the time is right to basically turn your passion into income. I mean, you can't force it. You need to have a bit of backing first. You need to have something stable, and you will know. The thing is, I can't tell you how, but you will know when you can take that leap of faith to basically venture into your passion and turn it into monetary gains.
Yeah, I think this is just a very rational advice. It's not like, oh, follow your passion, follow your heart kind of thing.
Yeah.
But we want to talk a bit about your creative process. Like, how does your creative process look like when creating skits like this?
I think like all the stories that I write are based on a part of me growing up. I think like all the like the first film I wrote was about me buying a camera. And there are some films, love stories like Unfold, that people tend to like. It's just my failed love life. You know what I mean? And my relationship with my friends and my mom, especially the films that I do with my mom. It is.
I love that.
Some people actually at one point thought that the lady who was playing my mom was an actor. But when they realized that she was actually my mom, they'd be like, huh, she's actually your mom. I was like, yeah. And it's funny because some of them have met my mom and they realized that, oh, your mom is exactly like how she is in the videos. So yeah, that's how it's supposed to be, because all the stories that I write are very much about me growing up and the experiences that I've gone through as, you know, a kid, a teenager, a young adult, you know. So I don't think I'm a very creative person. I just write about stuff that I've been through. You know, I can't write fiction. I can't write murder stories. I'm not super I can't fantasize on imaginary stuff. I just write things on what I've been through. And I guess that's why people kind of relate to our stuff. I when I write those stories, I write with the notion of thinking that I am the only person going through this particular situation. But then when we upload it on YouTube, people be like, oh my God, I'm like that too. And they'll be like, oh, okay. So that's very reassuring that I'm not the only person that feels that way. And I guess that was the formula of writing our films. And there was really, there's no secret sauce to our videos. Everyone else is doing it too now, you know. The minute something is trending, someone will make a video based on that trend. And yeah, you know, it is how it is. Just that we were very lucky that we were one of the first to start it. If we were to start our YouTube channel now, I think it will be, it'll be very, very tough for us.
Mm-hmm. I would say that you've pretty much maybe peaked. I don't know what you think about this, because when you started, your video, the milestone ones, Ah Wing Wing, Malaysian #1 salesman, that was 100,000 views in 4 days. And then you got on radio, and then now you're a brand ambassador for Watson's. Would you say that you've already peaked in where else can you go? Is there a ceiling that you're trying to hit?
That's a really good question, because I was just having this conversation with my wife. I was like, I was like, I told her, I was like, hey, why am I still doing this? And why are people like Watson still coming up to me and asking me to be their brand ambassador when I'm no longer relevant? There's so many other new talents that are huge, like Jen, all the Chinese content creators like Liz, Chloe. I'm not saying that I don't appreciate all these brands coming back to work with me. I really appreciate them when they see the value in working with me, because I think it's a very good question. I would love the brands to tell me, but I think we have a very good working relationship with all the brands that we worked with for the past 10 years. And I think they still like the team, my team that comes up with the creative being led by me. And they still support my work and stuff, and I'm really, really grateful for that. But it's a question that I would like to answer, because I'm already expecting to kind of drop ground zero and be a dad and not have to attend events or be in front of the camera anymore. But I'm still doing it. Mm-hmm. So I guess I've come to a stage where I am ready to accept if a brand tomorrow tells me, hey, we're not going to renew your contract because we think that you've kind of reached your peak. And I believe I did. I think personally I've reached my peak 3 years ago. Hence why I had to move on to other things, building a sustainable business without my name, like I just mentioned. So for me is I just take everything as it comes. If people still wants to work with me and they see me as someone that adds value to their brand with the collaboration, I'll still do it. But if they don't, then I have something else to fall back on. And that's, I think, always been my nature. I think when I was working on radio, YouTube was going to be the thing that I was going to fall back on. If radio fails, at least I've got YouTube. So if I'm going to leave radio and go to YouTube, what am I going to fall back on? You know what I mean? So I can't possibly fall back on cryptocurrency, because it's so volatile. So I guess again, I take everything as it comes. So every time when I do something, what I'm trying to say is, I guess try not to be too comfortable. So to sound very more business-like now. So when I did YouTube and I realized I had nothing else to fall back on, I started the social media agency, because I knew there was going to be a trend. Mm-hmm. I think when you run your own business long enough, you'll be able to see trends, project the future, and plan for whatever is coming, and kind of do your research on what are the trends to come. And then after that, once you build that, then you realize that you put your effort and it's sustainable. Then you move on to the next thing. And if you've peaked building something within your industry, then maybe it's time for you to explore on other things. Like for me, I'm exploring acting. We're doing something with I'm doing something with Astro, and I'm doing something with some other projects as well. And we're exploring building films with my team, setting it for festivals and stuff like that. So it is continuously evolving, I guess. To answer your question, Lynn, I think and Kessyl, like you mentioned about evolving as well. So I guess you don't necessarily have to evolve to be popular all the time. You can evolve to do other things as well. To make sure your business sustains, your interest sustains, and the company sustains everything. So I guess when you grow up, things will change. roll with the change.
Unfortunately, kids.
Yeah.
But wow, Jin, I have mad respect for you. Like, I feel like you're so Asian about this. Like, I need to have something to fall back on. And I think in life, we want certainty. We plan around a lot. But sometimes even when you plan, life just hits you in the face. And we spoke about this before. You said that right now you are focusing a lot more on aspect ratio studios. But you're working on some personal stuff in the near future. Here's a personal question. Is there a time where you feel like you're lost or you don't know what to do? And how do you deal with that?
Oh, of course. I think I think I felt this about 2 years ago, where everything I want to write, someone's written it. I hit a brick, everything that I want to do, someone's done it. And and we lost out a lot of opportunities to other people because they had better ideas. So as a person who everybody keeps saying, so that's why when people come up to me and say, oh, look at you're the pioneer of YouTube, you're number one and stuff like that. It's like that unnecessary, no, I won't say unnecessary, is that pressure that some people tend to throw at you, and you kind of have to live up to that expectation. So I think when you can't live up to the expectation, that's where you kind of blame yourself, because a lot of you can't do this, and then you hit a brick wall, and then you get really upset, and then. But I think that there was a point of time where I was quite upset with not being able to kind of be how I was like 5-6 years ago, where we were peaking and booming. Then I realized that. Then that's when I realized that, hey, you know what? I remember that I told myself that nothing lasts forever. So why did I have to basically take on everything upon myself and my own shoulders and stuff like that? So that's where I decided to reinvest back into the company and hire more people, hire creatives, hire writers. And they basically made a lot more things that is even better than what I could be capable of. And, it's then that's where you realize, hey, you're not all that great that you think that you are. You know what I mean? You should. There are other people out there who are greater than you, but don't have the opportunity to basically flex on what they can do. And that's where I'm like, okay, I feel a lot better, because I felt so much better when everybody could create, and they took the whole big load off of my shoulders, and especially when they created something super cool and looks so much like the production quality is so great. I could never achieve that. And that's where it allowed me to focus on a lot more things, actually, like growing the company, being a father, being a dad, just have time for myself and really pamper myself and spoil myself. You know what I mean? So I feel like every creative will go through this, or every person in the entertainment industry will go through this. There will be a point of time where they'll be like, oh my God, you know what? This person is better than me. They're constant. You will always compare yourself to the next person who just suddenly explodes. You know what I mean?
Right.
When you learn how to when you learn how to just let go and understand that, there are better things to look forward to apart from just the numbers and the views and the likes and the social validations, you will be a happier person. So that's where that's where I am now, I think.
So on those social validations, right? I mean, I remember way back when a few years ago, people were getting on this trend of like, oh my gosh, I can make money off my hobbies, especially those of us who really enjoyed content creation. And then it got to a point where like, yay, I can make money off my hobbies. But nowadays we're kind of at this stage where like, we don't want to monetize our hobbies because it takes the joy out of it. Because like when I started making videos as well, and clients would like ask for certain things and like, oh, I want you to say this, even though that's not exactly how I feel about the thing. And then slowly, and then sometimes your boss goes like, I want 50 videos by the end of today, and then you're like, oh, I'm not really doing what I want, I'm doing it for the numbers or things like that. So at a certain point, what do you feel about people monetizing their hobby and then it becomes more about making it successful than the joy of the hobby? Then is it actually a hobby, or is it more of a part-time job, or is it like something in the middle?
I think like when there's money involved in all these engagements, there will always be expectations, and you need to understand that very rarely would you have a client like, "Hey, here's like some money, do whatever you want. I don't care." You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, every brand will have a KPI or a ROI that they need to measure. And you need. That's why I think like when we started the YouTube channel, when I started the YouTube channel, we didn't work with any brands actually. And not because that I didn't want to, it's because nobody came to us.
It's not you, it's me.
Yeah, it's me. Like it's like I think it was so new. YouTube was so new that every brand would be like, nah, this is just a passing fad. And then when we kept when we kept staying relevant for the 1 year, and then there were more. Actually, it's not us. We grew with the community. There was Joseph Jamani, there was Danku, there was Grim Films, there was a lot of YouTubers at that point in time. When they saw when that community was growing, then the brand started to kind of like, okay, you know what, this seems to be a new thing. So we had like a head start of like 1 year plus to kind of do whatever we want while I was still working for radio. So that's why I said that, you know, when you are doing something when you're passionate about, it's good to have like a day job and you can do whatever you're passionate about in your off time, right? There's no, you know, when you do something that you're passionate about during your off time, there's no expectations. The biggest expectation comes from yourself. You can really focus on what you feel that's best for you and your platform, or whatever you feel that's best creatively. There's no one there to judge you. There's no one there to control you. So you're able to basically grow organically. The minute you rush into basically putting dollars and cents into creation, there's already another third party expecting some sort of return. And obviously, if the company is big, there will be agencies involved. And when there's an agency involved, there will be creators involved. So there's going to be many, many layers that's going to be involved in your creative process. So yeah, so I mean, I know it's very discouraging to what I'm actually saying, but that it is how it is in the advertising world. That there are expectations. Is it bad? No, it's how you handle them. So for us, is every time a brand comes up to us and they say they want to work with us, we have certain guidelines and rules to the brands in order for them to understand what it takes to work with us. I know it sounds very Eva, like no, we can't do it. Yeah, but it is how it is, because we know our audiences. They don't know our audiences. They only see the numbers that we get. They don't understand the audience that watches our stuff. So have we made mistakes by following whatever the client wanted, the agency wanted? Yeah, we have. And did all these contents like, you know, do badly? Yeah, some of them did badly, but it's part of the learning process. Sometimes we need these type of mistakes in order to kind of give a case study to the brands to tell them like, look, we did this and it kind of didn't work. So we don't want to repeat the same mistake. So yeah, again,
like, please listen to us. We know what we're doing.
Yeah. You need to, the brands need to listen to us, but at the same time, because you're the creative, you need to, if the brand is very stringent on their guidelines, and then you as a creative needs to be you need to find a creative way to circumvent around their restrictions. But if you can't find that way to basically go around their restrictions, then it is okay to kind of turn down the job.
Yeah.
But sometimes it gets a bit sticky because, you know, some creatives need that money. So yeah, it's a very sticky situation. So every time, like, you know, when I see people, creatives doing stuff out of their comfort zone and whatever they usually do, I'm like, you know what? Yeah, not you, but I kind of understand.
And the final question for today to wrap this up. I know we said 20 minutes, but we go on and on. It's like 40
it's okay.
right
I can
now.
go on for days, you know.
We want to ask, like, of everything you have accomplished, what are you most proud of?
Imagine he says his kids.
I was gonna say my kids.
Yes, and congrats on the new baby Chloe. She's beautiful.
My biggest achievement is being a dad. I can provide.
Oh my god, I was joking.
Yeah, I could like bring this little creature into this world and give her whatever she wants. I'm not gonna spoil her, by the way. Both of them now.
Both of them.
I think that's my biggest achievement. I think like before my kid came about, if I had no kids, I'll probably tell you, my biggest achievement is I hit 1 million subscribers. This,
boring stuff.
Company, this and that. I have a team, but like, not that I don't love my team. I hope they don't listen to this and be like, what the hell? We're like, what?
We are our kids first.
I think my biggest achievement is to. I'll give you two. I think one of them is being able to build a sustainable business that doesn't require me to basically be the forefront of the whole company. And I think the most important that tops it all is being a parent, because like I think being a parent is not an easy job. It's the hardest job ever. Not for me, but for my wife.
Amen.
Both of us actually, because both of us run the company and both of us have to take care of kids. And moms are the ones that take the even bigger load of taking care of kids. My wife had a C-section. She went back to work on the third day on her laptop. So that's what being a business owner is. You know what I mean? But like we do it. The thing is, last time we run a business and we like make money and stuff like that. We do it like, I want to buy this, I want to buy that. But now everything that we do is like we're thinking for the kids' education. Where do we want to send them? Like literally, I'm going to be having a 1:30 meeting today with a kindergarten or a school.
Wait, and she's like what, 8 days old?
Yeah, I mean, like for my 3-year-old. So
okay.
My biggest achievement is just being a dad. I love every minute of it. If I could retire, I would and spend all my time trying to play with my daughters and just grow up with them and go through every single moment playing with toys that they like and I like myself. I think like playing with them, whatever. Like,
so I'm sure MCO has been like a blessing in disguise for you.
You're like stuck with your kids.
Yeah, but I like yes, it has been a blessing because we like how do I explain this? I know some people, there are some people out there saying that, we're being stuck at home with the kids, it's very stressful and stuff like that. For me and my wife, it was very different. I think like we got to spend a lot of time with Kessyl to teach her how to talk, read books with her and stuff like that. We saw her grow up. We were literally with her every day. And today she could have she's 3 years old and she can have a conversation. She can negotiate with me on what she wants and what she doesn't want. And I guess we see the value in that. You know what I mean? I think like all of us, not all of us, I won't speak for all of us, but at least for my wife and I think we grew up where our Asian parents had to go out to really work odd jobs, a few jobs to make sure that we could get the best. So there will be times that they were not there during our most important times growing up. So the thing is for us allowing us to be able to work from home and also being able to spend time with our kids, it's really a blessing. I really enjoyed every moment of it. There are times where it can get a little bit stressful, but I think like once everything materializes and you see how she basically when my daughter wakes me up every day, she just rubs my shoulder. She's like, "Daddy, wake up!" And then when I wake up, she'll just hug me for like 2-3 minutes and not say anything, and you'll be like, this is all worth it. Yeah. So that basically trumps everything else.
I love how we started with like you breaking into the industry and figuring out how to get from point A to point B. And then now you're in this place where you're like, I am creating not just with the company, but also with my kids. And this is your legacy that you've made. And I think like when we talk about household names, when we talk about YouTubers, like my parents knew about you 10 years ago. And that is an achievement. Wow. Like that tells you what kind of like, how the legacy you've made is just incredible.
I don't know how I did it. When people come up to me and tell me that you're a household name, I'm like, do you know that I hated the name Jinnyboy? Jinnyboy was given to me as a nickname. It was given to me as a nickname on radio because I was the youngest recruit. Everybody, Ian, that idiot. Okay, I hope he listens to this. I love him to bits, by the way. I wanted to go on radio. I wanted to go on radio. I was like, hey, what's up, guys? I'm Jin. You know what I mean? Like, my name is Jin. It's cool to say Jin. You know what I mean? And then he just goes on like, hey, everybody, this is our news recruit, Jinnyboy. And I'd be like, shut up. Please don't do that. Please don't do that. And that's how I got my nickname. Literally how I got my nickname. On national radio, they were making fun of me.
Mm-hmm.
Calling me Jinnyboy because I'm a little boy. You know what I mean?
The biggest prank.
Yeah. So I hated it, but it stuck with me until today. And so, you know, I don't know. Nothing can be planned. Nothing. If everybody comes up to me and say, "Hey man, how do I become as successful as you?" I'm like, really? I hate my nickname, and you want to be as successful as me? I have no answer to that. Like literally, I have no fail-proof roadmap for anyone who wants to be like me, and I don't think anybody should look at me as being someone successful. They should just look at me as an example of what not to be and do something better than what I can do. Like whatever I do on video, do it better. That's all.
Well, I'm going to annoy you one more time. Thank you everyone for listening. Our special guest today, Jinnyboy. Everyone have a great week ahead. Take care. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye now.
Thank you. Bye-bye.